Hello everybody, and welcome to Pokemon Showdown Spotlight. So this is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be showing off the battles completely, but I am going to kind of run through some things both within the Pokemon, like usage reports, and what the current viable builds are for this Pokemon. You can look all these up yourself. This is just going to kind of put it in a video format and explain to you, I actually do some battle Pokemon testing, off videos and whatnot. So I can actually explain to you some of the weird tech I've seen for some of these as well. So today's I'm going to be doing with KingGambit. If I come on over here, you can see KingGambit right here has 31% usage in Gen 9 OU right now, which is actually insane, but he is a very good Pokemon. He's full of a bunch of tech, and he's just overwhelmingly strong with his Supreme Overlord ability. So based on Smogon's website with this, he's typically OU, but you can use him in a whole bunch of tiers. OU's pretty good because Ubers, he does fall off quite hard with some of the other Pokemon going around. So the offensive Swords Dance set here, obviously you're going with Swords Dance, Sucker to allow you to just get a really quick, easy KO, especially if you have any SO stacks up on you. Typically after that, you'll run Katao Cleave. It's just some really good stab. You can also run Low Kick on here. Low Kick's going to allow you to go 1v1 against other KingGambits and some certain other Pokemon, which, I'll read down here in this little text. By little text, I mean a lot of text. I'm going to kind of paraphrase it to save some space and some time. So Ironhead as well, same kind of thing. Stab, you're either taking your stabs or you're sacrificing it with Low Kick. I'm not a fan of either of them, but it's also good. Black Glasses will boost the power of your Katao Cleave. Air Balloon will allow you to kind of live certain moves from like Earthquakes, from Great Tusk, from Iron Shreds. There's some other Pokemon I think that learn Earthquake. I don't even remember anymore. There's a lot of Pokemon who learn Earthquake pretty much. Or you can take a Lumberry. This will allow you not to be burned, because getting burned will essentially cripple this Pokemon, but you can also, Terra Fire in this situation here and do pretty good against that. It allows you to be completely resisted against the fire moves that could possibly take you out, but it does make you weak to Earthquake. Terra Dark here just makes you crazy strong with that Katao Cleave and or Sucker. Flying, same kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing that Air Balloon would do. It will just completely nullify the fact that Earthquake's even going to do anything to you. Adamant Nature if you want to be super offensive, Jolly if you want to be faster, if you want to break certain speed brackets here and there. Dark Resistant coverage is for Ironhead, is going to be Zom, who's going to be a fighting type. Not super great, but he can Terra into something a little bit different. Great Tusk, again, also a fighting type, but he is resisted, so Ironhead's going to give you a little bit of more usefulness against it. Clefable, obviously a fairy type, that's going to do a little bit better. Yeah, so pretty much just what I was saying here. Low Kick is going to be used for anything like over Katao Cleave would be nice to, not let you be completely beat by other KingGambits. But it does, if you use it in place of Ironhead, you're going to get real weak to fairy types. Like it says right here, there's a lot of fairy types. There's a lot of Terra Fairies, like Skeledirge can Terra Fairy, and it just makes you super weak if you do that otherwise. So dropping Katao Cleave would probably be like more beneficial than dropping Ironhead. However, I personally don't recommend doing either because it just kind of sounds really weak and like a very odd situation here. Air Balloon's really good because Landorus and Gliscor are both really, really common. Galarian Slowking is also quite common, although I don't think you would need to take a Lumberry like it says here. I mean, I wouldn't even really say for Cinderace, like maybe Dragapult if it's running Will-O-Wisp Hex. But overall, yeah, I think the Black Glasses or the Air Balloon are probably going to be the way that you want to go here. But you can also run some other super techy moves. I'll get to that in a little bit. I've actually seen one in particular that was it caught me off completely. I was not ready for it, and it scared me, I'm not gonna lie. So he fits in super well offensively and bulky, because if you look at his stats, which I believe is up here, he has a crazy high base defense and some fairly notable, like respectable SPDF here. Now, his speed bracket's not that great, but he's actually not that bad. He's super bulky with the HP, both those defenses and that super high attack. So, running him like a bulky SD set was also really, really good. Now, this is kind of where the techie feels fun for me, and the one that caught me off guard more than anything, which was really funny. It's kind of a mix of the OU offensive mixed with the bulky SD here. So SD, same kind of reason, Katao Cleave, also Stab. Sucker is kind of like mandatory. You're going to be slower. Sucker's just going to allow you to hit a super strong adamant like Banded or, Boots, Life Orb, it's going to let you get off a really strong hit to take something out very quickly. Your fourth move's Iron Head, Terra Blast, Low Kick. Terra Fairy, Terra Flying, Terra Fairy allows you to be able to handle, again, the same kind of 1v1 counter cleaves against you. But this is where the fun tech comes in. I had a battle earlier this week where somebody was running pretty much this same set, but in place of running Terra Fairy with, instead of running Terra Fairy here with Terra Blast, they actually caught me more off guard than anything else I would have seen. So instead of running Leftovers, they were running this Pokemon with a Life Orb, Supreme Overlord, SD, Kitao Cleave, Sucker Punch, Terra, but the Terra was not Fairy. Instead, it was Terra Fire. Terra Fire on this way better than regular Terra Fairy, especially when you're wanting to go 1v1 against the KingGambits, because with your Supreme Overlord, you can stack it up. You can, come in, you can get 1 stack of it, you can get up to 5 stacks of it, and if you get this thing, to endgame, and you're doing a 1v1 against another person who's doing the same thing with that KingGambit, that Terra Blast Fire is gonna absolutely shred them, and it is hilarious. It catches you off guard every single time. It allows you to fight Pokemon like Golden Go here. It allows you to fight, let me see if there was another one in here, like Skarmory. Again, it lets you handle the 1v1 against another KingGambit. It's a really weird set. Masquerada is also another good Pokemon that you can run into here. I think other than that, it's Ogerpon, if you're getting the regular Ogerpon, you can run 1v1 it. It's very interesting to say the least, but it was enough that made me fully respect that thing, because even if you're not running Life Orb, you can run this thing Banded, you can run it Scarfed, you could still run Boots and Leftovers like the previous sets. You could even run Rocky Helmet because you're so bulky as a Pokemon. It's a really interesting play here with the Terra Fire, so much so that I'm I almost want to try that in a team, and maybe at some point I will. One of the things I do want to do is start testing out some teams and getting some teams running and working. If I go back here a couple things, you're going to see all the Pokemon that we've been doing currently in our ChatGPT Versus series, which I'm going to continue doing. This is actually going to probably be uploaded on a different day than those, just in case, maybe something flexes out of my schedule. Maybe we eventually phase out the ChatGPT Versus episodes and we phase these in on the same or a different day. We can we have some variety that we're going to be able to work with here. But I do like the spotlights more than a showcase. We'll probably have a quote unquote showcase episode later in the future, but for now, we'll do some spotlights, we'll do some things here because I just don't have that time to be able to record all of these showcases and these team showcases and whatnot. But I want to expand my roots. I want to do some testing. I want to make sure you guys actually get a good, viable top tier team, and currently the ones I've been testing are, not gonna lie, pretty good. I'm able to get up to the high 1500s, but then I'm running into some really odd tech Pokemon, and I'm not gonna lie, the low beginning early 1000s, you're getting people who are just doing the weirdest things. Nothing makes sense. You pretty much have to go with a full meta until you're getting into the 1500s. Then you can start mixing in some of the techie battles, and then you're catching more people off guard. Catching people off guard, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to have a meta game breaking team. However, that's going to be very interesting if you have to fight that person more than once. So if you're in a tournament setting, typically people will be writing down your stuff and trading it with their team to make sure all these resources are changed around through, and then people know what you're possibly going to run and whatnot. In Showdown, it's the same kind of thing. You could be playing for 2 to 3 hours, and if somebody else is playing 45 minutes through that and you battle them 2 or 3 times, they're going to know all your tech that you have in it. Hopefully they remember, hopefully they don't, because some people aren't going to be writing things down on Showdown. It's going to be just based on memory, and the more weird tech you have mixed in with your really strong meta-based Pokemon can be really good. I'm not going to say, KingGambit here with a base 60 special attack and 35 regular attack is going to be, significantly different in, let's say, OU meta format. You're never going to drop attack and take special attack and make him modest. Even if I do that, look at this. You're running 240 special attack and 250 or 275 physical attack. You might as well be a mixed Pokemon at that point. Oh, we have actually modest. You know, maybe you want to be like a mixed set, which I don't know, is there one? Yeah, like mild defense, like drop your defense or not. Let's say special attack minus, where is it? Special attack minus speed. There you go. Quiet nature, whatever. You know, that's still 240 to like 306. Your physical attack is just so much higher that you can almost guarantee that this KingGambit is going to be like not AV. You could probably make him AV. I'm not going to say you can't, especially with that, again, respectable 85 SPDF. That's pretty good. You could run him AV. You know, what are the other options you could realistically run with this? Again, yeah, black glasses for a super powerful sucker punch, like Smogon has over here. You can run Lumberry if you're Will-O-Wisp, black glasses for some extra damage on your sucker and your Cathocleave, Air Balloon just to make you a little bit more safe. Again, I love this Terra Fire. I think Terra Fire is crazy good tech, especially if you're running the Terra Blast set over here. That's absolutely nuts to me. It is crazy and I love it. Terra Dark just makes you stronger. Terra Flying, I feel like maybe you want to run black glasses Terra Flying instead of Air Balloon if you're like running into a tournament setting, or if you know you're going to be facing like Landorus quite a bit, Escadrille quite a bit, Gliscor, a lot of, you know, Pokemon that typically run Earthquake or super strong ground type moves. Boots is not a bad option, although Boots only kind of protect you really against spikes. You're already taking like minimal damage from rocks. You're already taking, you know, 0 from toxic spikes. But Boots, on the other hand, are really okay if you're like, again, I'm going to go tournament setting. I think Boots are super situational here. They're only good if your Pokemon has spikes. Otherwise, it's not really doing much for you. And I again think, like, yeah, Leftovers, Air Balloon, and Black Glasses are really good. I think those are definitely top tier. I don't think Lumberry is good enough currently, but I feel like Lumberry is better than Boots in the situation of just like kind of running this Pokemon. I mean, if we go back over to the stats that you have going on here, like the top 10 Pokemon, like, let's see, Zamazenta, 0 hazards, Great Tusk, he drops rocks, Galarian Slowking, maybe Thunderwave, Lando has Earthquake, Golden Go really can't do anything to KingGambit unless you're like, I don't know, Focus Blasting. You have a Raging Bolt, who really can't do anything to KingGambit unless it learns a crazy fire move, but nobody runs it. It's just not meta on Raging Bolt. Not saying, you know, maybe they don't Terra Fire, Terra Blast. You know, that's weird. It's super tanky, but that only really helps you against KingGambit and maybe Golden Go, just like otherwise. But you can handle a Golden Go, I think, probably better with Raging Bolt with like Specs Thunderbolt. Iron Valiant really doesn't do anything to you. You can run Iron Head. You can, you know, Valiant's just not great here. Samurott, Hisuian, sure, but like he's really not going to be a big problem to you either. And Water Ogerpon, also not, you know, concerning. So I think the other options are really good. Yeah, again, Life Orb here, also pretty good. You could also even take, you know, one of the berries. I forget what, is it Chapo? I don't know. It's one of the berries, protects you from ground type attacks. You would have to look it up. My brain is just not processing certain information today. Maybe I'll be able to find it while I'm just kind of rambling on here and while I'm looking around for it. Fire, Water Psychic, Bug, Dark, Grass, ground type attacks right there. Shuka. So like you could take a Shuka berry to, you know, if you're really concerned about ground types, like Shuka berry, Terra Fire, Sucker, Catalclave, SD, you can go for an early SD, not really fear a Earthquake, and then Terra Fire, Terra Blast at +2 to be able to take quite a few things out, especially if you have multiple stacks of Supreme Overlord here. Overall, I do think Gambit having this high usage is probably really good. I mean, he's super strong, especially that 135 physical attack, dude. There's a reason that KingGambit is at 31% usage. Anything really under, you know, 10% is like using, like you can use it, but it's not going to be like super meta. Like, you know, we'll eventually probably get to it. Hatterene is like crazy good, but it's got a lot less usage because these other Pokemon up here severely threaten her. and there's just not much you can do about it, unfortunately. But I'm going to stop rambling. You know, that's the showcase right there for the KingGambit. Great Pokemon, really cool Pokemon, absolutely like top tier in Scarlet and Violet OU. Again, you can run him in Uber. I don't think that's really going to help you out too much. You could also run him in doubles. You could run him in VGC regulations. I'm not super familiar in VGC formats at the moment. Maybe eventually if I feel like getting into it, but at the moment I'm just not super back in roots of VGC anymore. So until then, I'm going to leave you guys with this. KingGambit, top tier Pokemon. Subscribe if you think so. Drop a comment if you like the video and you're loving this series, because I definitely might. We'll see how this progresses throughout it. And until then, I will see you guys next time.